although we still anticipate Mary being president in 2020. Is there anyone who would like to step into that position for the remainder of the year or would feel comfortable taking that? Everybody's speaking. Would you be a candidate?
Yeah, just feel like, you know.
Okay.
I mean, now if you were trying to be the default.
Since I had a break for a couple of months, I always felt like I was falling short as president. Like I was never doing enough. So
This is your chance to make up for that.
No, it's not true.
as long as everyone's okay with a
Do you think
president
that
who's
could you be supported? That was running 2 or 3 jobs, now 1 job, 2 jobs.
and we didn't meet for a couple of months too, and part of that was virtual meetings, and we were coming out of the virtual time. So, hi, how are you?
We have.
Well,
I was the one that said she was gonna be late. Right, there she is.
I did not say I was gonna be late, actually.
No, Tori said.
Sorry.
You said you were running on to the. You didn't?
No, she had something to be exempt.
Yeah. We should have known she was coming, right?
And usually there's a bucket list at the end of the agenda, so anytime there's something.
All right.
well, let's get started.
Yeah,
I think it's
Finish
fine if
after
you
we
take
call.
over for the next few months. I think that'd be fun.
willing to do it as on 2 conditions. One, that you're okay with the amount of commitment that I put forth in the previous year. I cannot guarantee that I can put more effort into it. And 2, that every one of you will commit to showing up to the meetings so we can vote on this stuff. Because it's impossible to get anything done without being able to vote. So I'm willing to do that on those conditions. Holly, you missed that Patrick's saying Mary was supposed to take over. She can't do it. So we're looking for.
Well, that's year. So next year, I'm still.
So
on
we
for
need
most for next
somebody
year.
you
This
consider for the rest of this year.
So we typically don't have a meeting in July,
Yeah. we'll do that.
Right.
right? So we'll have
Or
May,
in December. This is
Oh, yeah.
so May and June.
But even if when you're president, there's still businesses.
right, and you need to find
Have
replacements
minutes
for
and-
next
yeah,
year.
But there's still things.
Yeah.
Oh, 3rd condition that you promise me you'll take over next year. So that I don't have to- That's fine. Unless you want it, Holly, it's all yours.
Not this year.
Well, and next year I'll be the president of the board of council, so I'll have that excuse to not.
That's small world.
Do we have to vote on it?
Make a motion. Patrick, do you want to make? a
Oh,
motion?
yes, I'd make a motion, that allows Jesse to continue presidency for 2023.
Second.
All in favor?
You second?
Mary.
I
Does that start right now? Because I didn't make this agenda.
We can start next, next time after today.
He said take over, so.
Yeah, take over,
So
yeah.
you're-
You can make whatever rules you want, yeah. All right, let's get started officially, I guess. Welcome again. I believe we got a couple guests here today. Carol, welcome again. And
My name's
Richard.
Whit Richard. I've been an arborist for about 6 weeks.
Good to meet you.
What's your first name again?
Whit, like a candle.
Okay.
Carol's neighbor.
Cool.
I also do like girls there.
Verify that you guys meet second. Okay, it's my site selection committee. It's on the second. Let's check, it's much smaller. See if there's a possibility. It's exactly the same time. So. Let's see the other one. absorb everything.
Guess we'll move on. Thank you everyone for joining us today. We'll move on to the treasurer's report. Everyone had a chance to,
I emailed it to you last night. The only difference is that we got 16 cents of interest on the money. Otherwise, everything's exactly the same.
all in favor of the, treasurer. Kevin, is there a motion to, approve the treasurer report?
I'll motion to
Second. Treasurer? Okay. Well, great. Sounds like, the February meeting minutes, make a motion to, have everyone review the March meeting minutes. Motion, March meeting minutes. Second that, all in favor? Motion approved. All right, well, so second committee, it's, we've not meet, it's Mary, sorry, we didn't meet this from last month.
You said it's,
We didn't really meet last month because we were going through the process. Now we have a new exec committee with the new president, Jesse, starting next month. We had, action item was to vote president rest of the year. We did that already. We had a couple things. I know a couple of agenda items, that came up and I'll let, Mary goes first. She had wanted to reach out about some funding, for some tree grants, and then Holly had an agenda item following up on, the tree service.
I had two funding opportunities, and first one I'm going to talk about is Brent Allen. Probably, she used to be part of a group called Founders Tree Trust. They did the tree babies, and Phyllis here, I know about it. Sort of the last member of that group. She reached out to me. There's still $12,000 of that money she would like to transition to us to use. She'd like it, and I had Mateo had a conversation with her, and as did I. And I talked to her after she had talked to me. She wanted to be in Miss Hodgson's honor. She wanted to plant things in Miss Hodgson's honor. And I explained that we moved away from to a greater task for us to space with but in talking to her, I think she really wants some trees planted at the welcome center. Ask Mateo and Jeannie, there are 2 trees that have been cut and scheduled for a replant there, and we might be able to have that be. But I think what Ren would like to do is come to a meeting about these funds, how we could steward them. So I think we can work it out. It'll take some. Yeah.
She used to be on.
And she
I invited her to the August meeting last year, I believe, but she was unable to attend. She had asked if she could, absolutely, and then.
Did she come to the next month's meeting?
I said that I would ask about May, and so I think she could. So if we reach out to her contacts on there.
I think I still have the email chain when she reached out last
And
year.
the second funny thing was I was fielding questions that people were sending me from Facebook, on Facebook. I was replying to you. And I had asked Aaron Hall, who's in the Office of Sustainability, what federal funds are there. And he goes, I didn't find much, but I found this. It's the Urban and Community Forestry Assistance Program. The funding amount is $1.5 billion, and it's for the next 8 years. And the agency requirements, the list of agency requirements, and Aaron sent me a link to the government agency where you would apply for the grant. I feel like that as the tree council, we should every year of this 8 years ask for money from this fund. This is part of the IRA.
So I think a lot of that's already been requested by, like, agencies like the Georgia Forestry Commission, and they're allocating the funds to different organizations throughout the state.
So we can still ask them. I mean, outside of that, like, we're an entity. So I think outside of any agencies that ask me, like, if you wanted to do bus stop plantings, or you want to look at burden places, or if we come up with whatever plantings we want to do as a county, that this is a way for us to request a grant money outside of any other agency that we might ask some money from. We're allowed to, as our group, ask for money.
That RFP is actually coming out very soon.
Right.
like Within the next week or two for that pot of.
Before you go for it, we need to get them.
Yeah, the deadline's gonna be the end of May.
And that's gonna be every May for the next 8 years. Like every year, we're gonna. I haven't looked into it. There may have been talked about it at the policy meeting, and I was gonna look into deadlines. If there was any rolling deadlines, if it's a singular deadline.
It's end of May and it's for 5-year projects.
A 5-year project.
Yeah, and it can fund up to like projects or
And-
something like
And
that.
we would not, we wouldn't meet that requirement probably. And there is also, the basic requirement is a 50% match. It can be, there's conditions with which 50% match can be waived. Which I think if we were gonna do a project that we, work with Taylor and work on language that explain that we do the 50% match, make that something.
Do we still have a grant work group?
Kind of. That would be me and me.
Very.
Aaron
So
also
you'll be
offered to
writing
help.
for it.
Aaron Hall and Office of Sustainability, so
Okay.
Mike's here sometimes.
Right, and
And-
I think Lauren said that she would be
So
interested.
if like getting a grant started is overwhelming.
And Stacy's.
And Stacy, of course.
Well, we just kind of recycle. We don't like to reinvent the wheel.
Yeah,
It's
we've
just
got,
some, you know, we have.
I've got
some
the
things.
language in
1.5
five.
billion, 1.5 billion.
So wait, this one does not have a deadline to apply.
So,
Yeah.
this one, this is just the, statement of funds. There's another, site that I've always used, so if you go to that listing, you can check.
And so were you talking about this?
I think it's the same thing. So there was just a webinar that came out about it, and I think it's 100% match though. But there's a way to fully waive the match if you're focused on diverse communities. Like there's some guidelines.
Yes.
So that we may be talking about something different, but it is the $1 billion fund.
You
So
were
there's
looking at
lots
it
of
for
other-
tree council? Were you looking at it for some other reason?
Yeah, my colleague and I were gonna. But it's.
It may not be the same pot of, I mean, it's the same, it's all from the IRA,
it
but it
could
may be a
be-
different
Yeah.
offering.
It could
Yeah.
be a different offering, but it was 100% match, unless you were in one of these like communities, and I think it was small. But they were like fairly large projects, like 5-year. But again, this might be something
Yeah.
different.
So, and that one had, they had they had some community projects that have already been submitted. I don't know if they were green lighted. And,
Oh, I see they cost share.
Yeah. And so is that the same as? It's hard to say.
It's through the same.
Right.
It's through the same funding source, but maybe it's another product.
I don't
They
know.
might have split it up.
Yeah, that,
Yeah.
yeah, for me, it
Will
looked
you,
like,
will you send me
our
like
side.
if you find, when you find.
Yeah, they haven't put the official RFP out yet. It's supposed to come out anytime. Yeah, the one we were looking at, it was very similar language to this, but.
And that one says 50%, meets other criteria. So, and some projects were quite large, and I didn't see the timeline, in the past 2 years, but, there were projects that were smaller, like, 450,000, small. What else? I don't know what the largest project was, but.
Largest we ever done was like 25,000.
So, well, we have a hard time finding places to plant that many trees.
Yeah, right, so it can be, the one thing about this that I like that Aaron found me is it's associated. So it doesn't, it's not just for planting associated, so it could be for like if we need to make structures in the dog park, can be for associated, strength and doesn't have to work. That was very appealing to me.
Well, I think that we have greenway mileage. We can do.
And the big stuff with the housing. Which would be the diversity factor about always needs some shade.
Yeah.
So I have a question because both Holly and Jesse, we were at the Georgia Forestry conference back in Rome, and I went to a session. They were there talking about the filtering of these funds down to the state of Georgia. Is that what you were trying to say?
Yeah.
That's because were you in there?
Okay, that particular. But working with the GAA and the Georgia Tree Council, the way that they talk about the funds is that it's already been.
Yeah, they did. They did. I was in a side conversation with them, and they were kind of talking about how actually Georgia Forestry was trying to look at Keep Georgia Beautiful. They were trying to find another entity that would actually manage the grants because they wanted to get the money for the state, but they don't want to manage it. They don't have the capacity to manage it. So they were talking to the Keep Georgia Beautiful folks to see. And so I'm trying to figure out if it's the same pot we're talking
It must
about.
be a different pot because they talk like, yeah, we're getting, like Mary Lynn's like, oh yeah, we have $70,000 allocated for a new position. Sorry.
Lots of money.
It must
Yeah,
be.
we were about at the Georgia Tree Council.
Were you in there, Holly? Were you in that section?
No, I
Okay.
wasn't, but I talked to Seth and Joan about it.
Well, because Joan was very much like, we do not want to manage grants, but we want the money for our state. So that's kind of like the last that I heard was that.
I think there's some confusion around these different
I know.
pots of money.
Mhm.
And even Joan and Seth, the Georgia Forestry Commission, were saying they're like unclear about
Yeah.
when the money is coming down and.
But they've
Keep
also
it
been
We're
clear
finding
about
out.
how much they're getting. Like it, and it's like guaranteed, it's from the way that they talk. So.
I think that the money hit like a bomb cycle, and analogy, and everybody's scrambling to figure out what's the process to get a check. Nobody knows how to get the money. Talk with the manager's office for the city, like, everyone's like looking at the money, but no one has actually managed the process of how do we get the money? I don't know anyone that's gotten a check yet.
No, and from what I understand, they won't be released until September. Was the last I heard.
So did you see a date to apply for this? Or is there an informal
No,
application
But,
process?
so there is, I will send you the other link that Aaron sent me. And so it's, it just tells me the location in the IRA where this funds exist. It tells me eligible recipients, and the cost share was like 50%, non-federal cost share funds are like, not to be waived, it's and I have, and the website is very general too, it doesn't say like, there are these 10
Process
things
is
to
going
apply
through the
for.
federal
I think it's more
government. It's pretty intensive.
Less, like this thing, grants, and we would submit it to the agency, but to see you get some available for that.
Before this is written, you decide where.
Oh, wow.
But it's a lot of money that, and if we don't get it, it's a little bit of a lottery to sure. But this is, I think we could be successful with trying to get the grants we tried for.
And looking those over recently, they're usually have specific, like we're going for the public housing sites or schools. Sure would be nice if we could sort of explain our mission in general and say these are the things we've done. Just
Well, and it's always so advantageous to have partners collaborating. That's I think why for so many years we were so successful. Because
you
felt in the tree council, we wrote a bunch of, and we did several at the schools, yet another,
Yeah,
like the Maiden Shade, I mean, it was
so it was a
very successful, yeah.
so I think that's a good idea for this.
I do, because we're talking about underserved, like, and it's like not even starting to talk jargon, our housing authority sites do not have enough shade and enough trees. I mean, it's just very, very clear that people don't have a pleasant outdoor space. And
So I've always felt like we could years and years.
Have you spoken with the new head of
No, but,
so.
but a previous board member, you know, so we have friends of friends and basically it said, you know, she would really support it. Anyway, so.
I'm
What's your name again?
So that would be a good,
Because it's also got the sustainability aspect, like, there are so many sites, like, it really is a long-term project that could take in
And that
a
was
great amount of funds.
Yeah.
Because of that, you know?
I don't know if like the sustainability, I think a lot of people also having a capacity problem, like they would help us write the grant. Of the processing funds, but I don't know that they have the capacity to keep that grant and monitor. That would be our responsibility. My guess is they don't. They would want to partner.
The other thing I would say, and I don't know, Holly, maybe writing grants, and if you have too in the past, is that, you know, I like to take the path of least resistance, which would be trying to get the funding from like a Georgia organization rather than, because the recording and it's just a lot easier, I have found. So,
plus we can call Joan and Seth and
so you're
say,
right,
hey, what are we
exactly.
missing on this application?
Yeah.
And how do we get these funds?
Yeah, so I guess
Well, I
trying
think
to
I understand
understand what are these two?
That would be.
But there's a large grant that was given that I read about that was specifically for like smaller landowners in forestry. That was a number that was comparable. So I think there's quite a few.
1.5 billion plus.
It was a lot. Yeah, I may be overstating that, but you know, it was forestry specifically. Yeah. I was searching for underserved communities and grants with trees.
Totally something
So.
to keep talking about.
Can we go back to the first opportunity that you brought up? I wasn't here last month, and so I apologize if this has already been discussed, but the last meeting that I was here, we talked about finishing the Trees for Tomorrow fund by, kind of approaching the plantings backwards to the way that we traditionally do of receiving funds and then instead planting the trees and then accepting donations for like adoption of trees. So continuing the Trees for Tomorrow program by replenishing those funds by saying this tree has been established for at least X amount of time, say a year. So we know that it's like past that critical point, like survival. So you can now adopt this particular tree, and that money will be used to replenish the trees for. And that kind of works around the idea of like you're purchasing a tree that you because we've already established a certain spot. So
That's like what Rome does, that's what they do, so they have like a whole area where they planted a diversity of trees and then they let folks choose. Right.
So, we haven't planted a ton of trees along the Greenway, but we have several spots that have been established, and we can start with those and say, if you would like to adopt a tree, and we need to put like a plaque out saying, you can adopt a tree by scanning this QR code, it will send us a message saying that you're adopting the tree, it's X amount of dollars. And, or even already established trees that we didn't plant, that are just trees along the Greenway, so that people have a place to go and reflect and, pay their respects to their loved one. It's that tree, So like with Bryn's idea, like if she wants to give us that money to get to have these groves where people can in the future adopt these trees, I mean that's one way to replenish the trees for tomorrow. Might be worth.
I think she'd be a minimal. Just have to explain. That's very similar to the mission of the trees. when she comes and talks, I
And I think we needed Jeannie to get permission to like adopt any old tree along the greenway. But it would require some funds up front to like put in, plaques or QR code, little plaque saying scan this if you'd like to adopt the tree, and seeing what kind of interest there.
I wanna dump out.
So, I don't know what the next step for that would be, but it was kind of my thinking of a way to get around the whole, like, guarantee this tree that we're planting in your loved one's memory is going to survive, and also give us a way to, like, raise.
You have the Greenway Commission involved, their services. And I think that because they raise money during the DTC. Actually, collaborate.
Do you know who's on the Greenway Commission? Or does anyone know
Yeah.
anyone on the Greenway Commission? I can.
Yeah.
They'll be at the expo.
Spearhead reaching out to the Greenway Commission and seeing what they say.
Green light, we have invitations. Oh, the expo, sorry.
They'll be there, that could be an opportunity. They were there last year. Thursday. I've got that.
I don't know if it's other things that we could just do, and then like if somebody has a problem with it, just or if we should really.
I think it's right.
I think, yeah,
it's
Jeannie
probably
would,
can do
yeah,
it, but like
Jeannie,
the
Jeannie,
other.
Jeannie would say.
she would probably not be happy.
And I don't think,
She would have to.
and I think it's positive interactions, like, there's no reason to assume, I think that, any kind of infusion of people sort of looking around the Greenway, I don't think there'd be any opposition to it, it's just how do you coordinate.
Well, the other thing is the Greenway, I'm sorry. I go to a period at the other. The Greenway Commission also has a plan. So it's really important to see what their plan is for planting trees.
Yeah.
We also did not consult with them or the Firefly Trail.
Obviously.
Now, when you say
No,
that,
I
you
knew
should-
about that installation.
I know.
And I talked to Jeannie about it and said, is this going to interfere with this installation? And she said, no.
Oh, she reached out to our people.
Yeah.
You even toured
Yeah.
the spot with them.
With
the
Yes.
people, yeah.
Ask them, can these trees be right here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, that means she probably did talk to Grant, I mean, she probably did get.
Yeah.
all of
Does
this.
the
Yeah.
Greenway Commission apply to the Firefly Trail or like a different group for the Firefly and Greenway? Different group.
Yeah, I mean, if we put QR codes.
Firefly Trail folks are the nonprofit?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Well, maybe I'll reach out to them.
And the both of them
So-
are trying to.
I don't know.
Firefly, Mark Ross.
Yeah, well, maybe the.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, the next order of business is, the Green Life, as you guys are all aware, or you do become aware, Green Life Award Ceremony is on April the 20th, next Thursday, 6 to 8 p.m. We notified, our two winners, is,
Laura Hall.
Laura Hall, she's the individual, Tree Steward Award. And then Paul Roberts with Royal Landscapes is our company Tree Steward Award. I've talked with both Laura and Paul. They're really excited to have receive the award this year. Paul may or may not be in May because he he says he's not there, someone else was coming, he was gonna be in Mississippi with some stuff, with his family stuff, but he said he could try to make it back to 20, he will be. And then Laura, she definitely said she'd be there, she's excited about it. And we got the invitations, everyone, questions about them?
What time did you say that it
It's
is?
6 to 8.
And do we have, is there a
At 5 to
tabling?
6.
Yeah, are we tabling?
We tabled last year.
So I can.
And you can pass those around, I mean, there's
Okay,
one
yeah.
for everybody. I mean, it's also, there's an electronic version too.
We need to make sure we have our gifts, those awards we give now,
What are we doing?
those prints.
I think you have.
Never mind.
So, are you gonna be able to make it? You bring.
In town, I told him it's.
No,
Let me, I think I will use it.
okay. Over there. Thursday, so I'll be there Thursday,
Okay.
you know, by then. Yeah.
Another thing that we used to do is, a evening of the tree that owns itself. And I don't know if landscape management still does that, do you guys?
I spoke with, I think it's Carol at Angel Creek Nursery, who used to do it for us. She hasn't had acorns from that tree for probably 3 or 4 years. She really wants to do it again.
It was
Yeah.
Phil had some.
Rodney's the last one to germinate. See
Think
the
we'll
legs.
bring it in.
I didn't even give it.
Yeah, I got, yeah, me too, I got a couple.
So they have some, they're pretty, like, it's not a seedling. It's not- it's not-
You've been
they're pretty
babying
big.
those things.
Yeah,
So
they're
they
like
might be-
5 years old.
That's a good present.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's gonna be nice, yeah.
I'll have one in my yard.
I gifted too.
Yes.
Well, Carol's got one. Ever made fun?
I could call, I don't know, but he was like that.
Yeah. If he gave one to Hall, he will probably plant it. A trail,
Awesome.
so it would be worth.
Well, we can
Last
try-
time we've given him a friend and the tree if we have trees. We gave Waltz. So wait, Patrick, are you, going to be there to announce?
If you're not gonna be there, I was not planning on being there.
Looks like I'll be there.
Was that yes that we are tabling? Last time you tabled.
Yeah, some of my folks did, I don't think, I can't, let me just double check, cause I feel like the answer's no, but let me.
It's
just
just
do a
different
text
action.
action. It's just a message.
Do you have to reserve a table? Everybody do that?
There was a fee for doing the award.
I haven't gotten an invoice for it yet.
And do we
It
have
wasn't the
anything?
invoices were sent out though, was that when you, I think when you said you were going to do an award, you sent. So who
I
kind of
haven't
did
paid.
the
It
registration?
says Laura, stuff, did it, I think she checked on invoice, saw the registration, I think it said invoice us. She,
I haven't received anything.
let's see, she,
Sometimes they're not real.
Do we have something written about the, like, I can speak up and talk about.
People want to do it. So that's the question, is the answer.
But if we're there, we might as well. We did last year, and we had quite a few people coming up and asking questions, and it was really good timing. Yeah. Because that was when the iTree study had just been released, so we could talk about the importance of that study and what it means for our community and what we should do as a result of it. So that was,
So we're paying on check, I think it was per, I mean, it was per check, that's what,
So where's the
Yeah,
invoice go?
uh. What was it? Put it on Warren, what was-
It wouldn't have come to me, it would have come to Stacy Smith. And so I already asked her to see if CTC.
I don't remember writing with it. It's a long time.
And it's okay if it hasn't, people are, I know.
Is it one price to award some answers to charges?
Yeah, so I think that the charge has to do with, like, you know, we kind of they bring in food and drink. Not in charge of it anymore, I kind of don't know all the details.
Yeah, they have.
There's usually, there was.
Yeah, so,
You got one beer, I think.
yeah. So, and it kind of changes every year because the venue changes, so, but let's see what she'll set us straight. She said, no tables, and they haven't. Correct, so no to the tabling, we're gonna the table, but, I know, right? And so you can, you can make the website chat.
But just send me where to pay and I can pay with PayPal myself. I mean, we did that last year.
I'll have her send me the invoice now.
Paula, did you want to discuss about the, tree survey from last year, the follow-up, so?
Yeah, this was just the tree inventory, and I'm not gonna speak about it because, I had actually let Jason Gordon to come in and talk about it, because he was the one who did the tree inventory. Since students did the tree inventory with Rodney, but he said that, we were conversing about something else today, and somehow this came up, and thought it would be worth to invite him to the next meeting in May to just talk for like, I don't know, 5 or 10 minutes about it. But he said this time last year, the iTree inventory was presented to the city council. And Rodney had recommended that the inventory be used to help create a forest management plan for the county. But he said as part of that, they needed public input. And the public input could be through the form of an assessment. To like, what does the public want to do with the ACC trees, or like, how do they perceive or want, and Jason speak more intelligently to this, like, what do the public want us to do with this? How do they want to be? So the council said that the council was very interested in the iTree study and the forest management plan, and they said, well, yes, you should do a public assessment, but it has to be done by the tree council. And so Jason's like, have you guys done that yet? And I was like, I don't know anything about this.
not something that was presented back to us.
Yeah, so, but that was kind of not long after that. I mean, Rodney was leaving
And that's
and
probably
a lot of transition. And so I said, well, Jason, we would love to learn more about this, and we would love to hear what you have to say about it. Will you come in and talk to the council? And he said he wouldn't. So I just put in a little plug. Would that be agreeable? Yeah.
I assume that we would probably need to work with the public information office to release that survey, but we would be forming, I guess we could about
Yeah.
that.
And he said it was Rodney's idea to do the assessment. He thought it was a key part of like forming the forest management.
A meeting with Jeff Montgomery, who I think is public information.
Yes.
So I'll take a look about that one.
He said it was this time last year.
Is it in March or April? March work session.
I don't know. I just remember him saying it was this time last year. He's like, have you guys not done that yet? I was like,
Were these comments that came from that work session, do you know?
he said that the council,
You mean the county commission, the commission? You mean the mayor and commission?
I guess it was the commission.
Yeah, no, I just want to make sure.
I don't know, and yeah, the winter, in winter,
Well, we
it's
had
the
pres-
city council.
Right,
so
it's
I
a commission, so I just want
confused.
to, because I know you guys are the council.
It's a commission, yeah.
Right, so it's a commission, and I know we had a presentation on that last year, but I'll go back and look at that, to see, since I'm done with it. You think it was,
I think it was March, and I wrote a letter, the council wrote a letter in support of.
I remember.
Yeah. I printed it, I printed it in my mailbox. I got the whole email thing, you have to get a gazillion a day.
and no one goes and checks their inbox, that's even worse.
Jason was I mean, with Rodney leaving, it's like things, just shifted, but he's just like, this is really timely, like we're a year away from that inventory now, and it's like, this would be, like, don't wait too much longer to do it, basically.
When Jason comes and talks, like for us, like, what greater understanding, what are the parameters? Has to be an edge to it. What do they consider successful numbers? That helps us determine.
And Jason could maybe advise us on that, because he does a lot of surveys and assessments, and so that he took a course in social dimensions and
Yeah, if you could attend this meeting, if you wouldn't mind inviting, since you went just so with him.
Any other business being covered today? It's up more early than one.
Actually, sorry, I have one more thing. I was about to text Jason, but I did put an email out to former education committee members to see if anyone wanted to meet. Getting anyone in here that was on it, but nobody responded. And I didn't know we wanted to proceed with education committee to show you're on that as well. If we want to try to meet again, or at this stage, there's no events planned or anything. Sort of interim chair at this stage, but I'm just putting that out there for our three members who are present. If we want to meet, or if we don't want to meet, or how we want to proceed. Or if anyone else wants to.
Are there plans to do anything in the fall, like,
Well, last year we did a tree ID walk with Ollie, which I would love to open up a tree ID walk to the general.
Well, I think that one at Sandy Creek was not just
Yeah.
Aldi, was it?
Yes, that was open.
That was forest bathing though, right?
No.
So that was the year before.
Oh, it was 2 years ago, or a year and a half ago.
So it would be nice to do that.
I
again.
love that. I would love.
We could do forest.
I was actually looking at horse bathing, by the mayor. Because it would be like a completely different interaction than they know. Just to put eyes on people. And we're gonna have-
We had, and I don't know if this falls under education and, but we had talked during the policy meeting about education session for designers, developers, maybe the general contractors, even people who are putting in the trees themselves. I mean, I don't know when that last was attempted. like previous arborists say, you know, good luck with that. But I'm willing to give it another try. I know, and
We
I
talked about
see.
tying it to, continuing education. There's
Yeah.
some way we could, tie it to just a few credits, which is cheap and like.
I was gonna say, if it
Pretty
wants
good.
to.
We're getting
That's
lots
what
of
drives
plans
Michael's.
that are saying for lack of better. Open soil surface areas, you can probably guess, is always a push pull. And it's not like we're gonna bring them in and say, hey, buddy, for large trees, we want you to put forward just, you know, the recommended surface area. I'm not talking about that necessarily, but, it could be some things like distances to trees, to at least acknowledging that there is an open soil surface area requirement, which some firms acknowledge that such a thing exists, and what it meeting do possibly get people back to a starting point again and saying, as a question, and what that means is like, hey, we are aware of this again. I don't know what the enforcement measures were in the past, but if there is a particular situation, as when the plans come in, it's every plan is, you know, there's no cookie cutter approach it, that it might give me or give Mateo a better chance to say, remember when we talked about this, like, rather than us like fight this out, maybe we could come to a creative solution for this, you know, which is all to do anyway. So I'm just putting it on your radar. As far as education, I don't know.
So it might be easier for them to push in rather than the pull out model. Like I know that, so my husband works for a group. They do lunch and learns, you know,
Okay.
in-house.
Sure.
And so if you say, hey, I will provide your lunch and learn for the month of September, or whatever it may be, to like take all of their employees to this event, you know.
Sure. I mean, I think just starting like the arborist and sure have an arborist, I'm like the fourth arborist in what 6 years. And you know, I mean,
You can do it, where's?
it's just a thought. A lot of development obviously is just rolling.
Yeah.
And
That cross pollination is
Clear control. I think the commission, including myself, need education on the tree cover and trees in general. Any that comes up, the tree, what do they call the tree? That comes up, I don't, people understand what that is, commissioners understand what is variety, mentioned variety. It's important, but it's important for, I think you're to, I mean, break this to everyone. Commission needs education issues as well. There's a lot of developments coming in. The only downside, trees are in there, but there's never any follow-up. So maybe someone might ask a question, some better understanding that we started feeling that still very handy.
I wish we could have a big field trip and take the whole commission and South Carolina, talk about what they're doing up there.
well, we have a wonderful code here. I think it's a question of how it has been and what we're capable of seeing, what we're not. Developers and
Well, you know, before I joined the commission, I worked with the commissioners who had my tour, e-bikes of public facilities and showed them different people, the people as well, but so that people could actually see what the green and who we will. So, yeah, just do that. But I just was at Georgia Site Group yesterday where Micah was saying, yeah, we can do that again. So like, if you did, like, if somehow that happened and it would inspire people, there could be a tree, because I think we did like transportation. So I had people from option and this was to do a little spiel on this. So putting in a tree spiel would be really
Yeah.
Somebody, but it could go beyond, yeah, that could be also something that would be helpful.
That should happen
I
like
love that.
regularly, like.
Yeah,
every 2
I love
years.
that.
We have changeover and there's so
Right.
much knowledge that's lost. Like, it's so because we just assume often that the commissioners, like
No,
they
but
assume they know solid waste. They
No,
don't
I'm
really
gonna
know.
reiterate, I would reiterate that it, like, we do not know. Yeah. And also you can't even know because there's not just 25 topics, there's 150 topics. So even when you're trying, you don't know. And sometimes citizen groups and commissions will be going, like, oh, let me see what the commission thinks. And I'm like, no, we have to educate them and then get them to have the knowledge to think about something, right?
I mean, with me, the study was turned in, the study itself is substantial. And Jason's presentation was the primary part. I don't know outside of Jesse what I read the study. Because it's a lot to take in, and the next day you have another thing you've got to take in. Those presentations, I mean, I think Jason's presentation had huge impact on them. Right after that, they did funding general funds for some mitigation they'd never done before. It really was a result of that community.
So we need to continue that conversation.
Yes.
Both like you're using.
Yeah.
So if we can organize a commissioner tree tour,
Well,
development.
you make it, you get some three, right? Like you just, that's
We can't
just an
put a try
education.
together at any one time.
Well, you can't, that's why, you know, I have that
That's
big
bad.
with 10. I don't know how I did that. Yeah.
Yes, I don't know how to speak. Two wonderful ideas.
Yeah, there's about 4 billion different folders in, for arborist. Everybody creates a new one. So there are presentations existing that look like they do a good job. And then, I'm not gonna turn down a trip. Afterwards.
It's definitely worth.
But I don't know, it's
Yeah,
worth
was
it.
there last
It's
week?
worth a shot.
It's so inspiring what they've done with trees there.
Historic Athens did one about 10 years ago. And they took commissioners and the mayor. At the time Kelly was a commissioner, so
Yeah.
And then citizens and like they had some department people in the bus. So that as you walk around, it was very informative. It was the Historic Athens did it to show how they redeveloped their downtown. Inspires what we would do.
Yes.
Along a river. And we have, it's a bigger city, but that we don't really take advantage
And they had super limited access, and it was partially industrial, and been transformed, and they have these long connecting paths now, which have been.
Sky Pass, they go for one. You gotta go down these
Yeah.
stairs and they have these seating areas.
You
Yeah,
can find
okay,
some
so
actual
elevator.
apartments to work, if you work in town, they're long enough. People that, so they did a lot of things. My favorite takeaway was I loved all the public water they had. All the water stations have water filling, some bottle filling thing, and a lot of good public water. And from that, eventually be a different one.
Yeah.
Because everybody wasn't on the bus. So
There's mixed emotions.
Mixed emotions.
Great.
I love it. I'm so excited. Corner of Washington.
There's also.
Well, it's really,
Everything is in space.
Stranded so much.
I mean,
Yeah, Margaret had
See it.
the,
anyone have any other items for agenda?
Sounds like we'll have a busy meeting next month.
Yeah.
Yes.
I tell you that the Firefly Trail is also opening on the opening is also on the April 20th at 4:00.
Awesome.
And so that's opening then with refreshments. So we could get
Is it going all the way to Winterville this time?
the bridge, the
Oh,
bridge.
the bridge. Oh,
A very expensive bridge.
oh, cool, already.
Well, nothing's cheap.
Yeah,
It's
nothing's cheap.
finally open.
April 20th is the,
cool.
I think it's pretty
So you
much.
should do that and then go to the library.
Yeah.
They just finished the
So
last
cool they
one.
have it open.
Good.
All right, anyone want to make a motion to end the meeting?
I'll motion to adjourn.
I'll second it. All in favor?
Thank you, Patrick.
Are you gonna
Yeah,
go back?
Thank you for your service, yes.
Yeah.
I'll tell you tomorrow, Melody.
Yes.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll do it.
We gotta get
You
my
have to
kid.
do what you have to.
Yeah.
See you then.
Got so much.
I'm gonna.
Have you found it?
Was it?
Now it's very close ones, like, we put it off for more than a week out,
Yeah.
so it's like, so it wasn't long long, and then, so I'm sure we'll find some.
Good. We'll keep us posted.
She
always
does
says-
that.
Well, yep.
Cool.
I was wondering if there's one of the
Yeah.
others that came and did.
As is on.
Yes, several, yeah, she was in
Oh,
the. Whose glasses are these? They're mine. Someone let their who's here?
Oh, they're mine.
Okay, good. That's mine sometime. Well, then just.
Can you hold on just one second?
Yeah, Michael, but, it's funny when we saw it, we weren't sure, but we watched it, and I was watching it.
All one word, yes, and I did
Not
not
that,
have,
really, watch it and
so
see
this is
that.
all one word too. LC.
But it's just crazy. And he said,
And
so, but in
B I
looking at
L
it,
L.
so,
And he presented at the.
Or-
Last year.
yeah, he said that
It's,
cardboard.
I don't even know if
It's
his
not-
presentation
yeah,
did it
yeah.
justice,
When he
like,
pulled it out, you could see
it's
that
so
he
cool
had-
there.
I've heard a lot of people talk about it. I mean,
I was
Yeah.
scared.
Keep doing stuff, and I'm like,
You probably like, they're like a model.
I wish we could.
He's a very proactive mayor who has a vision, and so I'm gonna make this happen.
that's awesome.
And has a lot of people there. He has a lot of people on the board. Achieve his goals.
Yeah.
And it's paid off.
Oh, yeah, I lived it when I was a kid, and it's like, now it's like a booming place that people are talking about all over.
We're gonna make a lot of changes to the planning ordinances here. 2024, I think is what Wick was telling me, so
It's good.
I've room for some changes. And now we've got the iTree study where we can actually have data put in front of mayor and commissioner, to show the need.
Yeah.
So should be easier. Hopefully.
Yeah.
See.
So does she come with recommendation?
Yeah, what's she applying for?
Excuse me,
Well,
Jesse.
so I was gonna interview her for a support role in doing like, inventories and management plans, but,
I would say she would be very good for that.
that's what I thought, but then she expressed the interest in working on a crew, which, I mean,
It just means she's a badass.
yeah, right? Today, that the crew that we sent to them was not all female. Which is-
You guys have like the best ratio of
I-
women of all companies.
And,
Could she do both?